Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Hello, everybody. This is Oscar from Underdog. And today we're going to do something different than the past few sessions. The past few sessions, I just gave you some tips and tricks and some little bits of information. Got my coffee. And instead, today we're going to do something different. We're going to make a track. We're going to do like an hour-long session, which is going to be a big one. Maybe even a bit more, who knows. And what I want to do is I want to explore randomness in Ableton. I want to explore probability, generative music in a way that's like, it's going to generate something within the confines of what I'm kind of feeding into Ableton, but I don't determine the outcome directly. Now, the idea behind this is that like, there's a couple of different ways of making music, obviously, and some of them are more algorithmic, where you like set up a bunch of probabilistic choices that your music generation program can take, and says it can be like, for instance, half the time play this note, half the time play this note, and half the time maybe it's flip a coin, play this note, flip a coin, play this note, something like that. And Ableton actually has a bunch of systems in it that allow for this. It's not made for it, as in you have to know what you're doing and then you can make Ableton do it, but it's not built around it, as if the interface does not invite you to do that. So this is gonna be an advanced video. I'm not going to explain everything that I'm going to do. I'm going to blast through this from start to finish really quickly, but I want, if you are at the level that you understand what Ableton is doing in general, this might have some eye-openers for you for workflows and things like this, okay? I want to give credit here as well to Mr. Ned Rush, I think is his name, his videos on probability with MIDI and programming breakbeats and doing Aphex Twin like stuttery stuff. That was that really generated this for me. And then once I discovered the LFO in Max for Live, suddenly like there was no more limits to probability. So those are the two main tools that I'm going to be using for probability. I'm going to be using MIDI data, which is stored as note data and velocity data. And I'm going to be using the LFO. And all of this, I'm going to be driving all of this by putting all my different options in effects and instrument groups and having the random selectors select which instrument or effect group is actually playing. Let me show you with a concrete example. Okay, let me open up the Ableton, and you can see there is a live set open here with pretty much nothing in it. And let's immediately start with an 808. I want this to go very fast, so I'm not going to take too much time. I'm not going to take too much time to look at all the different options. I'm just going to go with sure values, things that I know work. And I want this to be a kind of an IDM, like, you know, like an intelligent, quote unquote, dance music. What I want it to be is like breakbeat, kind of glitchy and, a little bit edgy. And so I'm going to immediately try and find like a breakbeat that works well. Yeah. Oh, that's actually very groovy. Let's do 140 beats per minute. Let's do 145 beats. No, 140 beats per minute. Dubstep speed. That way I can go down to halftime at the break and then come back in double time at the climax. I think that could be fun. I never get to do that when I'm doing techno, so this is a rare opportunity. Let me just double check that I'm recording the screen very well. Yes, baby. Everything looks good. Okay. So a simple drum pattern just to start bringing our sketch together. Oh, no. Okay, this works for me. I could have put it on the second backbeat. That would be too predictable. Let's do it off here. So we've got downbeat, upbeat, Downbeat, upbeat. I just explained this in another video, so I'm still thinking in those terms. Okay, now, every time that, let's say this is the skeleton of my track, and this is the predictable drums. Let's add in some unpredictable drums. Yeah, I'm gonna duplicate this entire track. And what I want to do is just program 16th notes. And what we're going to do with these 16th notes is for every single 16th note, we are going to randomize the velocity of the note. No, sorry, that we're going to do that later. For every single 16th note, we're going to randomize the pitch. And because all the samples of this drum machine are laid out across the keyboard in terms of pitch, what we're just going to see is that it's going to play different notes at random. So let's put that on there. MIDI effects, pitch, put it before the drum rack. No, not pitch, it's the random MIDI instrument, this one. So what's the chance and how much, how many steps can it go up? So let's try, listen to that. Okay, because we've got a lot of kick drums. Like, let's put the chance at 100%. See what that gives. Okay, let's mute the kick drum because we don't want that playing twice. Cool. And let's make the choices even a bit more. You can see here which notes are lighting up on the mini map, whatever this is called. It's never going more than 12 steps up. So let's let it go all the way up and even a bit over so that sometimes it plays silent notes, and that's fine. You know, we have some silences because the beat is being carried by the predictable and this is the unpredictable. So let's play that. Those cowbells are wild. That immediately evokes like some of that old Aphex Twin stuff and whatever. So that's cool. I'm not really trying to get into Aphex Twins territory here today. That would be too pretentious. But let's put some reverb on all of this. Now, one way to harness this would be to bounce some of it either to MIDI or to audio. Like you could set up a MIDI track, grab MIDI from Unpredictable and just start recording. That way, if you find a phrase that you like, you can just like grab it, and you can make a curated version of this Unpredictable one and call it curated. And have it like that, remove the randomness, and then just so yeah, you can find the bits here that that speak to you and just have fun. So what I'm not gonna use a curated one in this session. I'm not gonna use MIDI record. I'm gonna just let it play unpredictably. That's cool. That keeps me interested anyway. This predictable loop, it's always the same, so let's make some variations just by duplicating it and duplicating it again. This is now a 4-bar loop, and let's do some kick variations at the end. So what about that? Yeah, just some things that let you that remind you that this is a turnaround. We're preparing to restart the loop. Let's find, maybe there's also like a splash that we can do. Let's do the splash here at the start, just as a kind of to note that we're starting a new phrase every time. Because with all this randomness, we don't necessarily want people to get lost and forget where we are in the bigger picture of things. You know, micro scale randomness is cool, but people still want to get their head nodding. There's this famous track by FX Twin called Waterhose. It's one of my favorite tracks of all time. I highly recommend you check it out if you don't know it. Waterhose, which is an anagram for something, I'm sure, but I have no idea what. And that track is just chaos. It's just brutal, in-your-face chaos. But it's also not. If you zoom out, you understand that there's like a macro-level groove that's still going on that you can just follow along. It makes you feel kind of safe and comfortable with that macro-level groove, and at the same time excited and unpredictable with the micro-level groove. So that's why I'm separating this predictable from this unpredictable one. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, my feeling here is that I want some really big kick hits every now and then. And I want them to be like really distorted and long. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a MIDI track and I'm going to say big, let's call them, I want them to be kind of similar to like 808 hits. So that's probably what I'm going to base it on. And I want it to feed the data from this predictable one. And I want it to grab the kick. So it's going to follow along with the kick. This thing triggers along with every kick. So I can put a different synthesizer on here. What am I going to do? I'm going to put a Punchbox on there just because I've been using that a lot lately and it's just instant inspiration. It's not something you couldn't do with anything else, but the way it's laid out is just a super good tool. So I initialize it, grab an 808. And put a long decay on it. So you hear this? This is playing along with the kick from the predictable groove. And I'm going to put some distortion on it. Sick. That's super loud, but let's... Yeah, I love just blasting it to hell. That's the timbre I was going for. Now, it's playing too often. So what's happening is it's taking MIDI into itself. Oh, of course, my little portrait will be in the bottom left side. And I just realized you may not even have seen the randomization that I've done. This is a little bit tricky. What I'll do is I'll move my head out of the way and move it to the top left where this menu is, and that way it's always safe. Okay, I'm actually going to do that right now. Whoops, while everyone is watching. Probably shouldn't do that. I should probably move over here, go into studio mode, and just fix that. Just a second. I'll be right with you. All right, now when I go back into my, into this view, you should be able to see me in the top left. And that way when I go into Ableton, you can actually see what I'm doing in the bottom left. So, much easier. So let's go back to where we were. Oh, and just to show you the thing that you might have missed, on the unpredictable drum, all I did was drop a random MIDI effect in front of the core kit and put everything up to pretty high settings. Okay, that's all. That was the only thing. So on the Punchbox. My goal here is for it to drop a lot of these notes and not play a lot of these notes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in a MIDI effect. And I'm going to change the velocity of the incoming notes that's coming in. And I'm going to set it to completely random. So I think if I do it like this, the output is completely random in terms of velocity. Let's look at the bar jumping around. Yeah, that looks pretty random to me. Now what we want to do is choose what happens. like a random MIDI note in terms like a random velocity on a MIDI note will be anywhere between 0 and 127. That means there's 128 choices, which is just due to the way it's encoded. 128 options. But you can kind of imagine it as a range from 0 to 100%, something like this. And the goal here is to say to Ableton, if the velocity is under, like, let's say 30 or 40, then drop the notes completely. Otherwise, play it as normal. So the velocity is, in a way, it's a kind of a sorting mechanism. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this Punchbox into a group. And on this group, you've got these chains, right? And I'm going to make 2 chains. Boom. So this is an empty chain, and this is the full chain. And again, these chains are mapped out with 127 options, which is no coincidence. Oh no, it's not actually by chain, it's by velocity. That's what you want to do. You want to leave this exactly where it is, and you want to set up the velocity distribution. Right now it says no matter what notes coming in between no matter what velocity is coming in between 1 and 127, just play it through both of these chains. Well, I'm going to say that's not what I want. What I want is for only the absolute lowest velocities, actually play it. And for the rest, just leave it silent. So let's see what that sounds like. I hit play. I hit play. Is it going? There we go. Every now and then we get one. Oh. It doesn't hit this very often, so let's increase the probability. Let's increase the probability even further. There it is. So every now and then it's playing. And Punchbox doesn't care what velocity is coming into it. It's always going to play this kick at the exact same level. So that's an easy one. Otherwise, what we could have done is we could have put another velocity in front of the Punchbox that always outputs a certain exact velocity, like let's say 100 velocity. This way, no matter what velocity comes in, it's always going to output 100 velocity, and that way we've reset the velocity to where we want it to be, and we've used this velocity just as a kind of a sorting algorithm to choose a chain on the instrument rack between empty and kick drum, if that makes sense. Okay, let me just delete this because it's unnecessarily confusing, and let's add it in with the drums. I don't really want it to be playing too often. It's just a little bit of extra spice to make something less boring. And let me put reverb on it. I know you're not supposed to, but I'm going to do it anyway. See, it kind of keeps you guessing. At the start, when you got just a few elements, putting reverb on them is awesome because it like fills up the space. Then suddenly you add in a few more elements and all this big reverb is really kind of stepping on each other's toes, and you just want to reduce it a bit. Dope. Okay, let's move on. That's a kind of that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Let's choose a harmony. Let's create some kind of, we're going to start putting instruments over this. For this, I prefer to work in arrangement mode. Your mileage may vary, but I like my arrangement mode. So I put it over here and okay. For harmony, I like to not get distracted by the timbre just yet. I will get into like what exact sounds are playing, but first I like to just do a little bit of emotional storytelling, figuring out, am I hitting the right emotional register? Because there's no point playing like major chords all over the place and then wondering why your song sounds too upbeat or whatever. So let's just find ourselves a chord progression that is nice. And what have I been doing recently? I quite like this one down to I just have to think of all these chord packs that I'm being advertised at the moment. It's kind of surreal. I kind of want it to be a B. Boom, boom, boom. So you got the re, mi, boom, boom. So that one. In fact, I want it there. Yes, maybe more like this. No. Thinking up chords on the spot kind of sucks. Let's go for something basic. Okay, let's go for A minor as like the most simple one, which is number 1, and then let's go to the number 6, which is also very, very easy. And then let's go from there up to the major and hang out there for a while. So the major 1 would be C major. So let's see if we can do this. A bit too euphoric for my taste. I'm gonna just do a 2-chord one, and I'm gonna go there and there. Yeah, and just to see how it would feel, I'm also gonna throw in a 2 there on the top. Yeah, and that becomes a 7th chord, and I'm just gonna move this one up. Oh, it's gonna sound pretty dissonant there. Yeah, let's move that one down. Now, maybe let's go back to like the more vanilla one. And just remove the lowest one. Yeah, that's gonna work. And let's make it a power chord. I mean, let's just add the octave at the top. Now I've just accidentally turned it into twice the same chord, which is really annoying. Okay, let's go with this for a while. See if we can make something work over it. And I'm going to immediately grab a Sylenth and just start looking for some timbres that sound good, just to start filling up the space. There we go. Yes, if you have Sylenth, you have heard that sound a little bit too often. Let's just go straight for something like keys or pads. Not bad. I actually already really like that. That's really an assertive and kind of weird sound. Let's put a delay on there. Cool. Okay. Let's use this as sort of the thing that's telling our harmonic story. And let's duplicate it, and work again with Sylenth over the same chords. Turn off the delay. Put an arpeggiator on there. Arpeggiator is going to spit out individual notes. Well, let's try with the same patch, why not? Okay. I'm still not crazy about that chord progression, but I'm not going to move over to the piano right now to start workshopping that. I want to do 16 notes. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Though, but these ones, every note that comes out of the arpeggiator, let's do that velocity trick on it. So go for full random, which means we put the center point in the middle, but do full random. And maybe just send some of the notes in there. So just a few of the lowest ones, but when they do get in, let's reset them at full velocity. So everything is playing at full velocity. So let's see how that sounds. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that. That feels pretty good. This kind of feels like a call. This kind of feels like a response. This thing sets the predictable boom, boom, so the audience always knows where they are. And this one adds in spice to give people the feeling that things are kind of random. At some point, you might want to distill this melody into a few kind of phrases that work well instead of it being always random. But yeah, no, that's all fine. It's all fine. Let me duplicate this a little bit across the timeline and make a miniature break. See how this feels, okay? Okay, I want to do something fun now. I wanna create a ride. Let's go for the 909 ride. Always a classic. And that 909 ride, what I want to do is I want it to play some phrases and some not. So sometimes it goes up, like on the upbeat, up, up, up. But like that sound, right? It's great. But some phrases I want it to turn off, and I want that to happen randomly. So how would I even do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, I program it everywhere. And again, it's a question of removing it at some points, right? So let's call this the ride. I don't want this to be aggressive. I just want this to sit at the top of the mix, sort of injecting energy every now and then. Later on, I want to do the same with like a string sound. That would be nice. Yeah, perfect. Now, how to do that randomness? Well, let's explore. So right now, what I wanted to do is every four bars, I want a random event to happen, and that to be the one that selects whether or not this core kit even gets any notes. Okay, so let's already put the core kits in a chain and say there's the core kit and then there's the empty. And let's chain that by, this time not by velocity. Let's do it a different way just because I want this to be interesting to you. Under Max for Live, there are some LFOs that you can use. Oh, burp. And so this LFO is going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. And I can map that to my chain selector. Look at that. Look at it go. Look at it go. I love seeing LFOs actually affect parameters. It's so silly. So yeah, so what we'll do is some of the time, if I only could select these selectors. Aha. Some of the time it's going to select the 909 and much of the time it's not. But yeah, this sine wave is not really what we're looking for. We're not looking for it to sweep up and down like this because that way it's going to be too predictable. But good thing for us that there are some different shapes here. Let's go slow. And in fact, let's choose the shape. Where is it? Here. Random. So, whoops. In fact, let me just stop from getting any more notifications. And okay, so see, look at this. Every 3 times per second, it chooses another random value, jumping up and down. So instead of doing that 3 times per second, let me do it every 4 bars, which would be the other direction. It would be up here. Every 4 bars, this thing is going to jump to a different place on this selector. So every now and then, the core kit is going to get the info that it needs to play those rides. So I'm going to hit play and you're going to see it happening, and let's watch it in action, okay? So as you can see, this is selecting it only every so often. So every so often, this ride comes in to sort of spice up the loop. I think this R is the retrigger button to like restart it, because I don't want it to keep going. I want it to synchronize with Ableton. Yeah, this is it. So yeah, so you could see I had to actually set the phase of this thing to 50% to make sure that it was triggering at the start of every 4 bars and not right in the middle of every 4 bars. So just some little problem solving there. Now this is going to get even more exciting when we add a bass line to it. So yeah, I think we've got a lot going on. That's already very good. And in the master, let me just clean up the entire master section and just put a limiter there. See how we're doing. Cool. Sounds fine. Sounds fine to me. Now, bassline. What kind of bassline style are we going to go for? I could imagine something not too it would be either a long sustained one or not at all, where it's more like just every now and then coming in, like all the other random elements, you know. Actually, you know what we'll do? We will we'll program it. Let me grab myself an operator, because I like to separate the timbre out from the notes. So let's, yeah, this is it. Now, here we're going to program a monophonic bass, and I'm thinking it's probably because I went from A to F, I do believe. So maybe let's just respect that and delete everything else, and then go into the clusters of 3/8 notes. That could work. That could work, right? I think maybe that one still, and then down there have it overlap. Maybe it'll do a slide, maybe not. How does this sound like? Oh, let's give a little bit of space between these notes. That sounds awful. Let's find a better note. That's cool, that's cool. And then later on, I've just had another idea. I'm going to put in another synthesizer that that does something similar to this one, where it's going to just play random, like, little notes every now and then. But I want it to no, I want it to play every 16th note. This is a little spicy lead that I want to play, and I want to play every 16th note, and I'm going to randomize. Hopla. I'm going to randomize the notes that it plays, because that's not, I mean, that's something that we haven't really messed around with yet, right? So let's put on the note randomness effect. Let's give it a whole bunch of, like, a lot of, like, almost full chance. Yeah, actually 100% chance. Let's give it 2 octaves to play in, all adding up, and then let's put a scale on there. And the scale I want is the A minor. Oh, wow, first option, basic. Yeah, that's cool. And I want to do the same thing that I did with the other one, where it doesn't play every single note. So let's drag a little velocity in there. 64, 64. No, yeah, maximum, also 64. Put this in a group, create a chain. I suppose you don't even need an extra chain like this. You could just reduce the velocity, sensitivity, and you're golden. But then back here, you want to reset the velocity to maximum, or whatever you think is the right one. Yeah, that's cool. With the right sound, that's going to be pretty cool. And then, of course, we're going to want to put delays on there and everything. And then we can talk about how likely it is that this note gets triggered, etc. But this is going to be a kind of a thing to complement the this green group over here. Oh, and I'll only introduce this during the break and then during the climax afterwards, I think. So let's go back to the bass. Okay, let's go for probably something else. Like when basses go up, then they always kind of sound a bit too happy. Maybe let's try this. Sounds awful. Let me see again which notes we have, or let me just brute force it. You don't, like, if you're intimidated by music theory, just remind yourself that if you know what scale you're in, you're basically fine. You just find something that sounds good by ear. And I know that we're in A minor, so I can go from here to here. No, that one's probably better. And I probably want it pretty dark. Nah, you know what? I don't like this entire bass approach. Let's just do a long sustained one. We've already got so much going on. No one's gonna have attention span to listen to this actual bass line. So it's only thing it's there for is filling up the low end. And let's find ourselves like a big Hoover. Yeah, that'll give like some texture. But without the LFO. I still think that bass sounds out of tune, and I just kind of wish... Oh, of course, because we've moved to a major here, because I thought that was a good idea. Let's check it out. Lol, it's a bit too epic. Make it more stable. Could work, could work. Might need to just tame that low end a bit though. I think that's gonna be it, no? This one is a bit intense, huh? I'm gonna take it off a little bit less. See, you hear that ride in action? It's pretty good. It does what it needs to do. Okay, let's move into like an arrangement mode. Let's duplicate time twice, and oopsie daisy, don't be sloppy there. Let's call this the break. Let's call this the climax and move across time like this. Because my idea at the end of this is to export something. I don't know if I'll get there, but let's try. So I can duplicate this because this is going to give enough breathing room, I think. Effectively, right now I'm just working on the delay. Gets a bit loud. Gets a bit loud. I want it to be a little bit more fragile there just before the end. I want it to feel kind of like, oh, if you push it over, it could just break, you know? So let's remove some of those low frequencies. I like the fact that the delay opens up, but it becomes a bit too much. So let's also modulate the volume down just a tad. So you get that feeling of fullness from the delay, but really the volume in absolute terms is down like, oh, like 6 dB. That's a lot. Yeah, that's cool. So I want people to feel like they're missing everything here, you know, like here it's just the energy starts to go down, but here it's like, please give it back. And then when they give it back, it sounds good. And I'll introduce the spicy lead here as well. So that's, I still have to sound design that one though. Don't be afraid to really take stuff out, especially in a break. What you're looking for is contrast. So even if you like an element in itself, just take it out, because then when it comes back, people will thank you for it. And this little response thing as well, I quite like it. Let's maybe pimp the delay on it. Where am I? This one. Oh, the delay. This one. It doesn't even have delay. It just sounds so, it sounds so delayed. Weird. Cool. So let's put a delay on there. Let's make it per 2. Let's make it fully dry, because our stuff is already incredibly busy. So let's try not to fill everything up with everything all the time. But during this climax, I think we can definitely afford to get a bit crazy. 60 is probably a bit too much. Let's just thicken it up there. Boom. And hopla. And then, of course, put some feedback on that, which increases drastically over time. We may need to cut the volume on this as well, because it's going to be quite a lot. Come on. Yeah, bit more epic, bit more epic. Bit more epic. Yeah, I feel like that could go, I could push a bit further. It is, of course, because I was soloing it. In the context, it might be fine. It would be cool to have some kind of small event happen just before the break, you know? But let's see. this randomness is gonna be a bit annoying. I think we've already got so many random things happening. Especially that drum kit, right? That random, unpredictable drum kit. It's really kind of creating this stuttery vibe that we want to stay gentle under. So what am I thinking for this? Maybe I should just play the spicy lead not every 16th note, but every, I don't know, every quarter note. Let's try every quarter note. And then for that, make it quite, quite sparse. Yeah, that's gonna give a little bit of depth. That's gonna be cool. Let's put on some kind of timbre and let's find something. Let's find something. Probably something called lead. But let's just put it. Yeah, I like that. And let's put like a very slow LFO over it. Hang on. It's quite satisfying. So it's opening up, and then soon it'll close. Yeah, that's cool. Pure and hollow. So open and epic, that's a nice evolution. And it goes over a course of how much? So over about 0.1 hertz, which is once every 10 seconds, which is fine. It's even still a bit on the fast side for what I'm trying to do, but let's stick with it. So if we play this, let's put it up an octave. For some reason, I want here at the end this kick to go da 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 da, like 1 2 3 4. That would be a bit more like. Could do even more. Could do even more. So I just added this info to like a super basic layout. Intro, first groove, break, second groove, outro. That's more or less a structure. It's 2.5 minutes. I'm not trying to make something too... This is not going to be printed on vinyl. This is not going anywhere. So let's just keep it simple, no? How are we going to introduce our elements? Well, first of all, none of this. None of this. Actually, maybe some of this. Maybe leave that. Hey, by the way, this kick here really could do with a bit of beefing up. Let's be honest. It's probably around 50 hertz. Let's check it out. Oops. How's that doing on our limiter? So sometimes the clap from the unpredictable hits and the clap from the predictable hits like right next to each other, which is kind of sounded cool. It's a nice little side effect. Sounds like there's some kind of delay on there, but there's not. Now introducing all this at the same time is a bit much, no? So let's leave the harmony out. People can already feel that there's some randomness in there. Oh, you know what? I really want that stutter there as well. And the hi-hats, super boring hi-hats, right? Could probably do it something a lot more interesting, but I can't think on the spot what we might do, except spam in a bunch of different hi-hats. Let me think while I listen to the rest. It's just super loud, no? This is super loud. It's way too loud. Because really, it's easy to lose sensitivity to the fact that this unpredictable drum is really probably the most interesting thing in the song, and everything else is just supposed to support it. So. Ooh. Yeah, it has my attention. That's good. I'm missing a riser effect. That's gonna be enough. Yes, there we go. Okay, I like that. That felt good. Making it a longer outro just to give us time to fade out all these instruments without like cutting it suddenly. Yeah, it kind of ends far away from home. No, it should probably end on this note. I kind of want that bass to be gone by now already for a while, so probably over there. Oh, you know what could be cool? If it also opens up on the filter just as it's being pulled away, so you could finally get a little bit of a sense of how big that super saw actually sounds, or that Hoover. That's actually pretty cool. I just want to make it quieter. It's supposed to be a flavor that fills the background, not something that's... Yeah, that's cool. Okay, that's fine. Super weird. Okay, one last listen through, any last changes, and then I'm gonna just call it a day. All right, let's check this. Here we go, bop, bop, bop. So we go. Yeah, perfect. That's what I want. I want it to go bop, bop, bop. Oh, and the riser. I need to make the riser. Yeah. Okay, you know what I want? I want this this resampled part. I want to reverse it. Whoomp. Then I'm gonna put a massive reverb on there. Let's call it the cathedral reverb. See what that sounds like. Yeah, that's a mess. That's good. Let's just do that, and let's put it on decay time. Ridiculous. 40 seconds. Freeze it. Thank you, Ableton stock plugins, for being so fast. That's awesome. Now we've got this massive tail that we can just reverse. And it's a bit of the ambience of our track, but built up in reverse. So let's see what that sounds like here. Yeah, good. Excellent. That sounded frickin' exactly how I wanted, except too much bass, so we just scoop, oops, we just scoop out the bass there. Oh, tight. Loving it. Now we're just floating in a sea of bloops and bloops. The bass comes to say hello, goodbye. Everything sort of freezes. That's cool. I'm wondering if I should give the bass a little bit of a hello here as well. Because we can. We certainly could. We certainly could. Let's just try it, but like not too crazy. We go from 41 to 69. So let's just nod the head up here a little bit and slowly come down. Let's see, and then let's reduce the gain on that as well a bit. Don't change everything, just a break. Okay, let's try. Too much. Yeah. That's tight. I'm gonna already remove a bit more bass from the sweep here, because I really don't want those sub frequencies in there until the climax happens, because that's the payoff, right? That's what makes it feel warm and tight. Okay, good. I think we're done. I've already got my loop set. I'll grab it just slightly before the first beat, slightly after all the tails are finished. On the master, I've got these effects, which are kind of freaky. I usually never do this, but it just felt appropriate near at the end. Got this limiter, got the master set to 0, and I'm going to export this, and then I'm going to upload it, and I'm going to put it on SoundCloud and put a link in the description here. Okay, let me come back to the screen where I was before. Check if everything is still running. Yes. So perfect. Thanks for dialing in. I hope you saw how we used randomness to keep the whole thing fresh. And we moved very quickly, made very quick decisions, even if some of the decisions were like, especially the chord progression. I felt like I was struggling there. I was like, this is not exactly what I wanted to do. But you know what? I turned it around anyway. And at the end, I think in the way that the storytelling evolves, I think actually something pretty good came out. And something that has enough randomness in it that it surprised me consistently throughout. So my ear stayed interested in what was coming out. You know what I mean? This could probably use a bit more attention to some of the details. Like what I would sort of like is, because there's so many like blippy bloppy sounds, I would like to pay more attention to the stereo spectrum. I would like to add in a little bit more like ASMR sounds, things like paper, glass, make things sound wide, little one-shot effects here and there, maybe some kind of like whispering sounds near the break, something that will highlight the first fragility and then assertiveness of the break. These are all just ideas. These are all just ideas. I know I went super fast today and probably lost some of you along the way in terms of what I was doing, but that was more or less intentional. This was explicitly an advanced course. If you want a course that's structured, I teach that in the school, Underdog Music School. Let me put on the details here. Oops. That there, you should be able to see it now. So underdogmusicschool.com, that's where I give online Zoom classes where we go over this stuff in a structure so that you understand at each step what the concepts are and why we're doing it. And yeah, that's something that I prefer to teach when I have feedback from the students so that I don't lose them at particular steps. The internet is full of amazing concepts, like amazing tutorials and content that you can follow for free in many places, and you should. But there's also value in having a teacher, someone who gives you feedback on your work and checks if you've understood everything. And that's what we give at Underdog. So it's not only me, I've got a couple of other teachers as well, very highly qualified people who will follow up on you, give you a boot camp in 12 classes, for instance, where you get an introduction session, or a deep dive over 24 classes where we get into all the nuances of all the different aspects of what I just went over in the last hour and a half. So yeah, if you're feeling a bit intimidated by what I just did there, do not freak out. It's a learning curve, and I just really wanted to show you how you could use randomness, and I enjoyed setting myself this limit of just a bit over an hour, make and finish a track so that it can be exported and uploaded. So I'll post a link to the final product in the description. Visit the website if you want to take some of the classes. Check out any of the other videos. They're all a bit more bite-sized than this. And yeah, don't be shy. Enjoy producing. Have fun. And take care, okay? There we go. Bye-bye.